Hi, good morning, and welcome to the ZP Vlog on Podcast. So we like to do this vlog on podcast every Sunday at 8 a.m. London time, and it's really just a wrap up from the news or of the news from Zimmer Pigott for this week. So one of the pieces of news this week is at ZP we do get a lot of requests for custom electrodes. Custom electrodes are really difficult, tricky subject because the way you get a low cost and reproducible, say, screen printed electrode is by really having high volumes and doing constant manufacturing. So when somebody comes in and asks for a very bespoke system, they want it at low cost, they actually want it high quality, but they really don't have high volume. And so at ZP, we've actually developed a quite a nice method where, in fact, we can give people custom products by putting their logo on it, essentially removing our logo, and then they benefit from our high volume and low cost. They get a customized electrode, but they're not then walking this tightrope of, or not, it's not really a trap, I would say, of actually they didn't get low cost, they didn't get high quality because they just didn't have the high volume. So we do have a nice strategy at ZP for allowing people to get custom screen printed electrodes with their logo, but in fact they can have the high quality and the low cost as well. I know we're the only people in the world that offer this sort of innovative solution. Some other news from ZP this week as well is, this, if you ever kind of, unfortunately, if you ever smell sort of fish and it's slightly gone off, you kind of get this pungent smell. I think in part this is due to things like histamines. So at ZP, we have a number of sensors that can help with the sort of understanding of shelf life or the freshness of foods. You can use pH, you can use ammonium, but we also have a predictor for shelf life, which is TAS, total antioxidative status. So we have a number of these sensors, if I can say that, I can say that, which can be used for the analysis of, as I say, for the analysis of the freshness of products like fish. Some other, let's say, news from Zimmer Pigott this week. As I say, we did put some notes out there regarding regarding the freshness of fish and the use of pH, ammonium, and TAS, total antioxidative status, for measuring the freshness of those products. Some other news from ZP this week as well is that we do make the food sense. The food sense has a number of analytes, but the analyte that it's kind of most famous for is actually for measuring the hotness of chilies. And we had an interesting client this week who was actually trying to measure the hotness of an infused alcohol. And part of our support on that is we definitely did the whole sort of, how do I put this? We did some troubleshooting for them, some development of what's called a standard operating procedure, so that they could actually use the food sense, because they were doing it, as I say, in infused alcohol, which is a unusual matrix for us. But that said, we put together a bit of a plan for them, and I think that'll work out quite nicely for them. Something else that we did this week, and I just mentioned it already, is at ZP we do make biosensors for things like skatol and indoles. These are the indoles, for example, are actually one of the molecules that gives you the pungency of fish when fish is deteriorating. But we do have the sensors for these. Essentially, they're called heterocycles, and we do have the technology for detecting those types of molecules. As I say, specifically as well, skatol is something that histamine is something that we can definitely detect. It's what they call a sort of, again, a heteroaromatic. It's got lots of electrochemical sensitivities, let's say, and we are able to detect it. Now, every Thursday at 8 a.m. London time, we like to do a webinar for technical questions that come in during the week. We've just slightly rearranged it now, and actually we've scheduled all of these webinars for the month of July. So we have one on the 6th of July, the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th of July. So we've scheduled them sort of ahead of time. I think this is just to kind of help people find them a little bit easier. In some ways, if you ask a technical question, then probably within that week we will then answer it in one of our webinars. We would say it's probably useful to sort of like and subscribe and turn on notifications for our YouTube channel, because I can't think otherwise, other than manually remembering that we were going to deal with your question in a webinar. It's a little bit hard for me to think how you would actually, let's say, know that ZP was doing this. But we do have a sort of post questions button on the website now. We do have a link to our YouTube channel, and so people can ask questions. Those questions will come to us. We will deal with them. Then we'll answer them probably within the week on the YouTube channel. And we hope that is useful to people as well. Some other news from ZP for this week. I'll tell you, it always feels like we're pretty busy. But the sort of, when I say the busyness is also extends to the sort of wider team. Something that we're really passionate about is Julie. I sort of describe it now as our sort of premier product or service. It's the thing that we use the most, the thing that we've put the most effort in. It's been, almost day one of Zimmer and Peacock, Julie was in development, and it continues to get better. So we're going to do a webinar on it. We're going to introduce Julie. We're going to show how to deal with what we call discrete data, which is things like cyclovoltammetry. We're going to show how to use it with continuous data. That's things like CGM, continuous glucose monitoring. We are going to show how it can be used in manufacturing. That's something that's really quite close to us. And we are going to show how we can deal with impedance data and predicting equivalent circuits. We are going to show how it works with Sense It All, and also do a demonstration on Sense It All. And then I'll just do a summary at the end. So that will be approximately a 35-minute webinar. There's quite a lot of speakers from ZP involved, so it'll be kind of a nice mix, and it won't be sort of a monologue from one person. But it's important to note that this is not just a webinar. These will be live demos as well, which is really a testament, let's say, to the robustness of Julie, that we can just kind of essentially get online and demo it. It's a tool that if we just use it day in, day out at ZP. It's nice that the team at ZP has also been up to USN. I always tell people, look, if you really want to join Zimmer and Peacock, coming to USN is not a bad place, because USN is a local university to us. They have a really excellent Erasmus course at USN. It brings in really the best talent from around the world, because they offer essentially scholarships, and the people who win these scholarships have really put in a lot of effort to get those scholarships. So it's an amazingly high quality people, and a lot of our engineers come off this particular Erasmus course. So we were up at USN in Norway this week recruiting. Also at the same time, we did also go to an aquaculture conference at ZP. We do have a lot of technologies around the monitoring of aquaculture and fish health. I do say it, but it's important that humanity has a lot of sources of protein. We do have to feed everyone, and you can't be reliant on one source of food. And if anything, if you want to minimize environmental impact, it's probably better to actually spread our consumption on this planet, not necessarily intensify it in one location, but actually to sort of have a sort of a lighter touch across the planet. That said, we're at a conference on aquaculture, and a couple of our engineers were attending that, so thanks guys for going to that. At the same time, we were also at Swansea University. We have a good strong connection with Swansea University. That's probably another good place to kind of, if you're ever interested in joining ZP, is to sort of somehow get yourself to Swansea. Just to say, actually, geographically, we're quite near a university called USN. We're quite near Swansea University, or we're actually on their campus, and we're also near Warwick University. These are good places to hang out and interact with ZP. So we were at a conference called Tetra this week, really on discussing thin film deposition, and that was a good, let's say, conference and workshop for us. At the same time, we do hold these workshops every month. And we did hold a workshop this week in Coventry. It's on biosensing. I have to say, I think this is the best workshop in the world for anyone interested in biosensing, things like lactate, glucose, pH, immunosensors. It really is the world's best conference on it, because we both have the technical, but we also have the commercial understanding as well. And then we also had a conference on, we also put out a note out there this week about the detection of microplastics. So I really quite like microplastics, because at ZP I would describe us as being able to detect ions, ion selective electrodes, small molecules using enzymes, larger proteins using, I would say, immunoassays, and then we can actually detect pathogens also using immunoassays or receptor-based assays. And now we can detect particles, through the use of electrochemistry as well. So I would say that we've kind of essentially sort of gone the whole way. So if I was to summarize ZP this week, we are going to have, and I realized that, yes, maybe not, yeah. So we are going to have a very important webinar on Julie on the 8th of August. I have put a landing page on the website about it. Please register for that. We have been up to USN to recruit. We have been speaking at Swansea. We have been working on microplastics. So I think it's fair to say that, and of course we've also been working on looking at sensors for the freshness of fish. So I would say if you've got any questions for ZP, don't hesitate to reach out to us. As I say, we do a webinar every Thursday at 8 a.m. London time, and they're all laid out for, I just said July earlier on, but I should have really meant, I do mean July as well. So we will be doing a webinar throughout July every Thursday at 8 a.m. Technical questions will get answered there. In the meantime, I wish you all a good week. As I say, reach out to us, and otherwise speak to some of you next Sunday. Okay, thanks very much.